Jeremy, the Pirates got a come-from-behind victory against Pacific on Saturday, come-from-behind draw against George Fox on Sunday. Give us your recap of what you saw from the Pirates and how they played this weekend.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. On Wednesday when we played Walla Walla, we went down a goal and we found a way to come back and win. Same thing against Pacific, and then George Fox down twice was able to pull back and get a draw. So the attitude of when we go down, to continue to fight, to continue to feel like we can get back in the game, I think is really important. It's actually in some of our talks, like one of our captains, Dominic, he mentioned that as well, and that's, I feel, something that's been kind of missing or different than maybe last year. I think the mentality when things go wrong or we're put in tough situations. But overall, the last three games, especially the weekend, I think there's been some really good stuff. I think we show the ability to play, I think, very well. Just missing a couple things. Need to minimize mistakes. I think need to continue to, I think, be together, one heart and mind when we're on the field. And then maybe the last thing is just converting our chances at a higher rate.
Teams develop personalities. It seems like this team is developing a personality of resiliency in matches and over the course of the season, having to overcome the loss of key guys due to injury. Where does a personality for a team come from?
It's a good question. I think I think we look for that in the recruitment process. Trying to bring in the right guys that we feel like are going to thrive and do well here and have the makeup to handle those situations. I think we put a lot of onus kind of on our upperclassmen and our captains to kind of lead in those tough moments and to teach the young guys. And then obviously that stems from the coaching staff as well, like providing an example of what it looks like to handle those tough moments. But for sure, we've had tough moments already this year. We went down to Atlanta and thought played pretty well, didn't get two results, and that's really hard. And the reason that it's hard is because we know we have some quality. We know that we can really play against teams of a high level. And then same thing this past weekend where we feel like, well, maybe there was something more for us. We go away with a win and a draw in the first conference weekend, but I think we're disappointed to not have 6 points, and I think to have that expectation standard is such a privilege. But in terms of growing and getting better in those moments and handling those hard moments better, I think you just have to talk about it. I think it's something that you can grow in, where it's not something that you necessarily have or you don't have. You can grow in that, and you can talk about it, and you can learn, and that's a really fun process to be in.
This weekend you're heading west to play Pacific Lutheran in Puget Sound, probably the toughest weekend trip within the Northwest Conference. Talk about the challenges that those teams will present and how you guys look to stand up to that.
Yeah, I think the toughest weekend for teams is coming to us in Whitman because of the travel, where it's Whitman and Whitworth 3 hours apart. That's very difficult to come to Whitworth, then feel like you have to go to Whitman or vice versa. But for us, definitely a tough challenge. I think we're expecting two, very, very good teams that are going to be physical and be very challenging and testing for us, and we're looking, forward to that. Both teams are off to a good start, I think, overall. Pacific Lutheran and Puget Sound both dropped points this weekend, so it's going to be a big weekend for those two teams, and it's a big weekend for us in Whitman, having also dropped points. So a lot on the line going into this weekend.